Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer. Welcome to another episode of Warhammer Weekly. I'm your host, Vince Venturella. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Lady McLaytonstein, who doesn't apparently know what time 8 p.m. is. Say hi, Tom.
Hello, friends. Sorry about being absent last week.
It's all right. We didn't miss you. That's what I'll say. And also joining me is, of course, Doom and Darkness. Michael, how you doing today, sir?
Good, folks, and g'day, everyone.
Hey, Michael.
Looks like a bright, sunny morning there in Australia.
Yeah, certainly do. Well, it's still winter over here, so it's pretty bloody cold, and the whole country's in the middle of a cold snap. So for you Americans, when it's probably like 6 degrees at times, and for us that's freezing. But for some of you, that's probably just going for a walk weather. I don't know.
Sure, there is some parts that get there. Yes, absolutely.
That's
You're down on like the southern part of Australia, right? Like if this is Australia,
Yeah.
you're on the little interior loop of the bottom.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
I mean, there's like you're very near penguins. I mean, that's how I picture it. You're just like you're an inch
Yeah,
away from Antarctica.
well, just a bit of geography for everyone, but the wind that hits us is southwesterly and comes straight off the South Pole, so it's great.
There you go. All right, that's awesome.
pretty intense.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
It's like the Canada of the southern hemisphere.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, there we go. Yep.
Also, it's got the UK connection. I love it. All right. So let's start out with some news. Let's just jump right in. So before we get too deep into news, I wanted to take a moment to point everybody toward your channel, Doom, because you have been putting out some fantastic content lately. I have really loved. Namely, the things that I particularly enjoyed, I just watched them both today, was the 2 videos where you go through the first 5 scenarios of the Age of Sigmar box set.
Right.
And so, I mean, tell us a little about it. What was your experience with it? What did you think about it? I thought it was great. I love watching you play through it. What was your experience?
Well, with a brand new system being released, I think it's probably a little bit ignorant to not play the starter scenarios and the starter boxes. I thought, let's just give it a crack and see if it enlightens me any more about Age of Sigmar. And it was good and it was fun. It's really designed for brand new players. It just introduced one more unit basically every single time on an ever-growing table. So you start off on 1 square, you go to 2 squares, and so forth. And each different scenario really has a different dynamic of the game factored into it. So it wants you to focus on movement, wants you to focus on combat, wants you to focus on using your BSB and your abilities to buff you. So you really step by step sort of add the different aspects of the game. And then I'm only up to scenario 5, which was the first pitch battle. And then scenario 6, which is the next one, basically introduces sudden death. So it was fun. Things definitely seem to be a little bit in the favour of the Sigmarines, but that may just be because it's a narrative scenario. And to be honest with you, if the Chaos won every time, then there would be no Age of Sigmar because the Sigmarines got bashed and couldn't come through the portal. And, it's just all over right there. But it was fun to play. They were very fast to play. We got through 5 in probably about 3 hours.
Wow, nice.
So, if you're an experienced player, you wouldn't go back and you wouldn't play them a second time. But it's good to play them the first time. And if you're a brand new player, they're great little games to teach people how to play. If I had a friend and they said, Michael, teach me how to play Age of Sigmar, I'd say, right, let's play these scenarios. And then by the time we were finished, then they would be up to speed and ready to play. I remember trying to teach my brother-in-law how to play Warhammer 8th edition, just from scratch, and oh my god, that was hard. That was really, really hard. So I like the scenarios. I think they achieved what they're meant to achieve.
Yeah, you really, it's funny because I'm going to actually do, like after watching it, it solidified in my mind because I had a couple friends who previously I had tried to teach Warhammer to, and they were like, this is too complicated, I can't. They had loved Mordheim, right? And they said, well, we like Mordheim, maybe we could play Warhammer. I said, sure, let me take you through a couple games. And so we played like 1 or 2 games, and they were like, I don't know, man, I don't think this is for us. It's just too big, it's too complicated. We don't want to buy all this stuff and get into all this stuff. And I really don't want to read this rule book. I mean, it's just sort of the standard things you would expect that are, perfectly reasonable. But I told them about Age of Sigmar, and they were like, "Oh, well, we definitely give that a shot." And then I watched your things today, and I thought, "That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take them right through those scenarios," and I think that's awesome. So check out those videos on his channel. As always, I'll put a link to Doom and Darkness down below. If you're not subbed to him, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? I want you to ask yourself that question right now. If you are not subbed to this man, reconsider your entire life plan. You can solve that by just clicking that link I'll put down at the bottom. All right. So let's get right into some other rumors and things that have been circling around. So game's out, we know that. We've all probably got our box set. Here's my. You got here's all mine. Here's my sprues, they're handy, and right behind me. But so I'm sure we're all working our way through that, or not. But either way, that's okay. But there's still a lot more on the horizon. So Tom, why don't you, there's a lot of individual little stories. Why don't you start taking us through some of the beat by beats?
Okay. So we have a book coming next week.
This Friday.
This Friday, yeah. That's kind of a big deal, considering they said, like rumors 2 weeks ago said that no book is ever coming ever. And it looks good. We have in the book, it looks like we're going to have all of the Sigmar army forces, everything that we currently have, plus a couple additional units that we don't have info for. Are you pulling up the images for this?
I am. Bada boom. Hopefully you can see my screen there.
There is the table of contents.
Yes.
Fascinating. We have what I found so fascinating about this was that it has both the Sigmarines, the Sigmarites, and then it also has the forces of Khorne, and it has like a small dashing, it looks like, of tree people.
Yep.
For lack of a better description, and it doesn't have anything else. And we had kind of talked about this, and I'll just mention it now. This leads me to believe that we're probably going to see these cycles of books fairly frequently.
Yep.
So rather than seeing an army book, this is probably the type of thing that we're going to be staring down, which is a book, probably a pair of factions, maybe a pair of factions with a dash of some other mercenary force, and then some information about a plane, and then a campaign associated with it.
Yeah, or a couple of planes. So like just to help walk people through what you're seeing here. Obviously, we've got the history here, so we're covering that, right? We have what happened in between these times, right? So you can see we've got probably clearly information about the orcs and stuff like that there when chaos reinvades, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yep.
And then we have the Brimstone Peninsula, the Storm Spreads, and the Brazen Call of Battle, and you can see there's these battle plans in there which are more scenarios. And I saw a couple. I don't have the image, but I saw a leak of one of these. These look really cool. They look like bigger, more complicated, more narratively driven scenarios. I couldn't tell because it was in another language, but I couldn't tell if can you use any army or only the war scrolls in here. My guess is they'll probably be designed for the armies in here, but it wouldn't be hard to drop another army in place, right, by just filling those slots. And yeah, you can see, and I thought the Sylvaneth, which is all these tree things showing up as their own army, was very interesting. You'll also notice that they've subtly pushed Treekin, which is a model that's very old, and I don't think they're ever going to redo, out to the side, and they're like, nope, just Tree Lords and Dryads now. That's what that is. So we're going to forget those dumb Treekin ever existed. Scoot them to the side.
Yeah, and I suspect, I don't anticipate that we're actually going to see a release of these tree people. I suspect that these are the pictures that are going to be on these battle scrolls. I suspect are going to be the tree people previously that we had.
Yep. I mean, that Tree Man is such a new kit, and he looks amazing. And the Dryads were great, frankly, and they didn't want to be ranked up anyways. It was clear that those guys, they were busting off their base. They wanted to be skirmishers since the moment they were printed. So there you go.
Yeah, and I mean, what I would say with that, just briefly, is that I think that we're going to probably see a lot of this. I think certain kits are going to be adopted in as they are, and they're just going to show up with this new name and new rule set. And then I think some kits are going to kind of fall by the wayside.
Yep. So Michael, what do you think? You excited about the potential of a series of these books? Because this one says the Realm Gate Wars begin. That tells me there's more Realm Gate Wars to happen. You know, more planes, more battle plans, more war scrolls. Are you excited with this kind of a release strategy as opposed to like an army book strategy, something that evolves in this manner?
Well, I think everything that you've said is probably right about the sort of release schedule and the type of constant scenario books with the different armies putting their own scenarios that plays out a narrative being released. I think that's definitely going to happen. I'm not sure how excited I am about it. I mean, I'm not negative about it. I'm not really positive about it. For me, it's sort of going to be, well, maybe I'll pick up the one book that features the armies that I want, because the fluff and the others will surely trickle out anyway, and you'll learn it sort of as you go. So, and plus, given the prices of them here in Australia, I hate to say, $90 a book or whatever, if not more, there's no way I'm going to be going out and getting every single scenario book. So I like it. I think it's a good idea, but I'm probably not, jumping over the moon for it, because it's only really relevant to maybe one book out of 10 will be relevant to me. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. Here's some of the. Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say I flipped over to the other picture here, which is our Stormguard guys with crossbows, which are some of the models featured in there. So yeah, we got both of them.
Shit.
Yeah. How about those, huh?
I haven't seen these guys before, and
they look like 40K.
Yeah, they look like they hit on 3s and wound on 4s, AP4, rapid fire within 12 inches or something like that.
They are firing some bolts. One might say they have bolters. Yes, I thought these are the Vindicators with their air ballists or whatever. I think there's the Judicators have the full size like longbows, but there you go.
Right. Okay.
Fun image there.
Yeah, that's serious. They're serious about that technology.
I don't know if I call it crossbow high tech, but it's a beefy crossbow. It's got some heft to it. I bet that's not a 1 damage weapon.
Can I just ask now, are either of you building a Sigmarine army?
Yes, I am going to.
Right.
Not right now. I'll talk about this later in the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I'm struggling with the Sigmarines. Like, I want to like them, I really do, but I'm struggling with them.
Okay.
I have a plan.
I'm sure you do. What I was going to say was this may be a little bit of a hypothesis. This is not a rumor. This is tinfoil hat time. But I actually anticipate that what we're seeing in the starter box, like, because the starter box seems so narratively driven, I actually suspect that we're going to see a couple of these a year. Honestly. And I think that what we'll probably see, like they had warned us about these limited edition models. The price point on this box is bonkers. Like, if you sit down and add up what you're getting you're getting 47 miniatures, you're getting 2 kits that are easily sell from Games Workshop for $40 to $50. Like, I cannot imagine that Games Workshop will leave these on the market. And so what I actually anticipate we'll see, what we'll see is we'll see the individual boxes of these as the evergreen product. But this starter kit, I suspect what we'll have is, we don't know yet because obviously we're still in the first week of release. I wouldn't be surprised if in 3 months this kit disappears. And
I've been told by someone at the meetings that there have been more boxes of Age of Sigmar produced than any other kit ever in the history of Warhammer.
Wow. I'll believe it.
Yeah. It might still sell out 3 months because it's so hugely popular, but still, I've been told this is it. This is the big push, and it's this box set that's going to herald in the whole new age of young wargamers and get them hooked into the hobby, and then they can carry them through for the next 30 years like they did with us oldies, and then kill it again and bring out something new.
Well, what the theory was, or is that what we're going to see is, with each major book, we're going to see, I would anticipate we will see a box launch. that'll be basically a pair of starter armies for whatever 2 new factions. So maybe the next set is Elves and Tzeentch or something.
Yeah.
And
I really hope so because, like you said, the value for this box was fantastic. It was so good, and the miniature quality was fantastic, and it's a great base to start your army from. And you probably only need to add maybe 2-3 boxes onto it if you wanted to flesh it out and make it a really good Age of Sigmar army to play elsewhere. So if they release the new factions with the new models in this manner, I'll be stoked about that because then I can just wait for the ones I want, say bang, pick it up, and build on it from there. And I think that's a brilliant idea if they do that.
we'll see. We'll see. I'm like, as I said, I anticipate, like, it seems like it would be a good, like, business move because what it does is every army would have a starter box at some point. Obviously, some of these would be discontinued, and people can jump in and they're started on 2 different armies at a low price point. And then, GW has people hooked then into that army that, suddenly adding a box here, a box there becomes not that big of a deal. And then they can further the narrative with each release as well.
Yeah, absolutely. As this war continues and ripples its way across the plains. All right, that's good. It's good tinfoil hatting. I like it. And I don't think you're totally wrong. We got some more rumors. So let's get to some other fun things that were leaked this week. So I'm going to go back to screen sharing for a moment because I'm going to show you all a picture. Is everybody ready for picture time?
Yep.
Yay, picture time.
Picture time. Everybody see that?
Yep.
What does that say?
That says the Great Horn Rat is the new supervillain.
That's right. It says that Slaanesh has gone missing and his seat on the council has been filled. Yes, the Great Horned Rat. So that symbol that we had talked about in the previous show of, what we knew it wasn't Slaanesh's symbol. So it turns out it's the Horned Rat because he here is, to his dark brothers.
We think so. We think that it's the Horned Rat. I mean, like, we don't know that for a fact. Like, yes, I can read. But that symbol is not the symbol that we saw.
I agree, but I'm not sure who else it might be. And there's the note about Slaanesh.
And I don't know.
His throne stands empty. Sad.
I just want to go on record as saying that's not the same symbol.
Sure. Well, we'll know in 2 days.
True.
So yeah, Horned Rat coming up in the world. Other pictures here. This is the guy from next week, not this coming Friday, but next week, the next Lord in the Lord cycle. And as you can see, let me zoom in there. We can take a look at his puppy dog. There you go. He's got his Griff Hound with him. That's also the other thing that apparently is going to be a model. It was there listed in the table of contents. The Griff Hound. And then I think I had mentioned the Judicator, so there you go. There's the actual guys with bows.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I'm not sure how they're shooting those bows. Like, if you look at those models, they're not actually able to sight down those arrows because of how big their shoulder pads are.
Can't go in there. Magic. The will of Sigmar.
Clearly.
Yeah. All right, so that's some fun stuff. What else did we have, Tom? There was another interesting bit of fluff that got spoiled that might lead us towards some future models.
Flaming Dwarves is
riding what?
Riding fire lizards.
That's right, Flaming Dwarves riding fire lizards. I caught this in White Dwarf 76 when I got it last Friday. There you go. And there's a little. I was just sort of reading through the story, and it was talking about a group of Sigmarines that kind of got caught up and overwhelmed, and then all of a sudden, these flaming dwarves riding lava beasts come storming in and just crush all the chaos. And I was like, all right, that's a weird thing. That's a thing I haven't heard before. And somebody else mentioned it. And, yeah, there's a picture of a fire dwarf apparently in the book. So I'm pretty excited about that kit. Where's that model kit at? I don't even like dwarves. But who doesn't want a fire dwarf on a lava monster? Michael, do you like fire dwarves on lava monsters? You picking that kit up if it comes out?
I like them more than dwarven cannons that shoot twice and hit on 3s and wound on 2s and do D6 wounds each, and they can get healed by the engineers and that sort of stuff. No, that's cool. I reckon that's good fun. I bet the models will look fantastic. It comes to mind that they're slayers for me, like fiery slayers in the the remake of Ungram, but as a race, and I bet they're going to be badass. And no, that's cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
like I'm mixed on it, and I'll talk about this later. Like obviously, flaming dwarves are awesome.
Sure. I
But
think
at
we can all agree on that. The three of us and all our watchers out there could agree that
everyone,
flaming
I
dwarves
could
are
set
pretty
every
sweet.
dwarf on fire.
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
My big issue is that and obviously I'm going to talk about this later, but they like I'm afraid that we're moving towards like the Star Warsification with these planes, like with races, like like so for example, like in Star Wars you had the desert planet and the swamp planet and the sky planet and the like none of the like in Star Wars every planet was this like stereotypical thing that was monolithic. And like I'm afraid that what we're going to suddenly see is like, well, we have the Azir dwarves, which are allied with Sigmar, and suddenly we have the Fireplane dwarves that ride fire lizards, and then next we're gonna have the Metal dwarves that are coated in metal and that are mechanics, and then we're gonna have the Nature dwarves who grow trees, and like it's yeah.
I don't know, man. Pretty much all of what you just said sounded pretty awesome. I mean, like certainly there's an absurdity point you could get to, but like one of the things I've been asking for and that I loved is the old like with Eldar, they had their little in 40K, Eldar had their little groupings that they got into and they were very sort of set up and organized in different sort of forces. I'd love to see a little more of that. Like, yeah, let's again, there's a point, right, where it just becomes like fill the box, and that's bad. But if it can be done cool, yeah, why wouldn't there be cool dwarves from the plane of metal? That'd be sweet. Like, sure.
We'll see is what I would say.
Yeah.
It could go bad, and I am afraid what that will look like.
Gotcha. Well, I will choose to remain positive about it, and assume that it would be pretty ripping awesome to see. So that I assume the dwarves from the plane of metal are the ones who are going to make the golems, and we'll finally get our long promised dwarven golems. So there you go. All right. Any other rumors we want to touch on there, Tom?
We have some new terrain coming, and it looks fantastic. And they said that like we're gonna get a glut of terrain. And, like I had heard that, but I didn't actually I didn't anticipate what we're actually going to be seeing. So next week it looks like we have a release of this big dragon, this huge set piece kind of gate, like archway, yeah, with this big like Hydra coming up over it, and then the same week we have, and I think that's retailing at like $50 maybe.
40, I believe.
Is it 40? And then we have a 2-part set coming up that are 2 realm gates that you can teleport between the 2 of them, and I think the pair of them come in at $60 is what retail is going to be. And they're big, like 12, 14-inch, like huge, tall models, and they just look fantastic, and the detail on them is awesome. And then a bunch of art has leaked out from the coming weeks of like I've seen at least 6 other terrain pieces in the art that we don't currently have that are clearly new, like Sigmar Khorne style art. Like even some like big like fortress like modular terrain sets that we can build our own stuff with. So it's going to be for those that love terrain. This is going to be an interesting season coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not a huge terrain person, you know that, Tom, but even some of this has me excited. What I thought was hilarious about that is those realm gates. Somebody posted that when they went back and looked at their Triumph and Treachery books, those realm gates are in your Triumph and Treachery book from forever ago. They used that terrain in the photo, the terrain that was releasing next week in the photos for the Triumph and Treachery book. They had it made up that long ago and just either didn't release it or knew it was coming or whatever. So thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
They've clearly been plotting this for a while.
I'm pretty excited for the terrain, and I may be jumping ahead of myself, but I don't feel the great desire at the moment with Age of Sigmar to rush out and buy a heap of models. I already have a lot of models for Age of Sigmar. In fact, it's more the other way where I'm reducing my collection because you know, the amount of Warhammer Fantasy I'm going to be playing is going to be less, so I don't need as many armies, and I have more models that I need, and most of them are painted already. So it's sort of like it's really taken the foot off the pedal as far as got to get this unit, got to get it painted, blah 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 blah. And I'm not collecting a Sigmarines army, so while I'm just waiting for the next release, which takes my interest to come out, what am I going to do? I'm probably going to buy a train, and I'm probably going to paint that, and I'm probably going to hope to have just a beautiful gaming board to play on. And I think that's great, because normally all my hobby time would be invested in painting my units up, getting them ready, because I need 40 of these, and then I need 4 units of 40, and then blah blah blah, you know. And now I can say, you know what, maybe I can invest my time a little bit better, do things to a little bit higher quality, get my corn guys painted, get my terrain done, and really make a fantastic world. So I'm really happy about all this terrain coming out. I reckon it's great. And I only need to buy one of it. I don't need to buy 4 boxes of the terrain to make a unit. I only need to buy probably 1 gate to put on the table. You know what I mean? So it's, yeah, I think it's a fantastic move by them.
Agreed. Absolutely. I think it's genius to release a bunch of terrain right now, because the reality is a lot of us who are already playing, as you said, we've got armies. We don't need more figs. In fact, we have massive armies on the scale of Age of Sigmar, right? It plays better at a much lower wound count. So, but, you know, hey, I want to get new stuff. I like toys. That's why I'm playing this. That's why I'm in this hobby. So, hey, it gives me something to buy.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Anything else, Tom? I think that's about all I can think of. I did want to take one quick second here to also point out not just Age of Sigmar news, but some other stuff as well. You may have seen, for those people who are interested in staying with 8th or with Warhammer Fantasy, or however you want to think about it, Swedish has taken over and committed to doing like a 8.5, 8.10, 8.9, I don't care, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter, to updating the rules. So if you go to where the site where you would normally go to get your Swedish comp rules, you will now see instead a link that says, here is the new game we're rewriting. If that's your bag, I certainly understand it, and hey, more power to you. They are really getting in there. Like, boy, are they unafraid. They are changing things. They are changing points, rules on armies, and the entire magic system, and rewriting all the spells. I mean, they are to the point where they're basically writing a new game. Like, at least it's all work in progress stuff. But just what's there right now, man, it's massive. And hey, much credit to them. So if that's your thing, go and check that out. I'll throw a link down there for that, because it's pretty cool. So if you're interested in looking at that, do so. And also another shout out to Gomo's Itchy Nuisance. Gomo's sort of got a wiki going where he's kind of collecting all of this and all of the 8th edition efforts. And so you can go there, and I think he links to the Swedish. He also links out to a bunch of other community-made stuff. And as he said in his vid, more equals better, because the cream will rise to the top, as it were. And I agree with that. If now that GW has let go of that, whatever, it's the communities to do with as they see fit. I think more people in the mix talking and creating is a good thing.
Yeah. On a related note, like obviously we can't cover all the comps, but Vince's, as Vince mentioned last week, his comp seemingly found some purchase amongst GW circles. And obviously we can't cover all the comps that are kind of floating around. There's another one for those that are wanting more of an 8th edition experience that I've seen. It's the Azir comp is what they're calling it. They're aiming for like kind of a narrative play style, and they want kind of like, they're trying to aim at like roughly balanced armies, whatever that means. Obviously that's illusion. But I would highly encourage you to check it out. It functions a lot like Vince's. The only addition is that all the units have been assigned point values, and so as you build your units, there's a point system associated with it as well.
So if that's what you like, there you go. I personally don't want to see points ever come back. I hope they stay gone forever. I'm in for pool choices. That's what I'm in for. I read a wonderful article from Jervis Johnson or whatever just before I sat down for the show of him lamenting points back in like the 90s. So I thought it was really insightful. And everything he said he wanted to do with the game happened with Age of Sigmar. So it was very funny to me that this was like this had this precursor way back 20 years ago or however long ago. So it was really interesting because if you read that article, you would think it was written 2 days before Age of Sigmar. You know, if you knew nothing else. So highly awesome. You can follow if you want to see it. I retweeted it. That's right. Warhammer Weekly has Twitter now. Hey, how about that? Hello, 2009. How you doing, buddy? So you can follow us at Warhammer Weekly. So there you go. And if you're interested in that, follow me and you'll see it. Anywho, let's talk about some hobby time. Yeah, so we got some new stuff. This is the first show in a couple weeks we've done, and I want to get back to it. Hobby time. Michael, what's on your desk, sir?
Right. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on in my hobby time. Firstly, my Dark Elves are up for sales, guys. So because Vince just gave himself a shameless plug, I'm going to as well. Go to eBay, look for Dark Elves, Warhammer Fantasy Dark Elf Army, and you'll see my beautiful orange guys up on eBay for sale, nice and cheap at the moment. I'm cutting down my collection. I'm really reducing everything down to just one army that I can use in Warhammer 8th edition, and then that gives me really 3 or 4 armies I can use for Age of Sigmar. I'm painting up the corn models, the basic starter corn models, and I may build on that, just put some Bestigor in and that sort of thing. But anything I do there, I'll be putting onto round bases. So that's sort of a lot of converting and so forth. And it's nice because I'm really taking my time to paint these as well. I'm not a fantastic painter. I'm still learning a lot of tips and tricks as I go, and so it's good to be able to take my time with some really nice models and put the effort in and get them up and going. And then I know this is a Warhammer, but it's still a Warhammer, so I finally finished my 40k army, and I'm actually just about to head out after this and have my first ever game and make my first ever 40k bat rep. And
Nice.
people may go, oh, whatever, but that's sort of where I'm at the moment. So still got the 3 games, and yeah, just working on getting these Age of Sigmar stuff ready.
Very nice. What are you fielding in 40k? I don't. You might have said it on your channel. I'm sorry, I don't remember it. But what you?
Right. No, that's okay. So pretty simple. I thought, look, first army. Let's just start with Space Marines because that's
right. Yeah, the Imperial Fist. Right?
No. Well, I had to choose a chapter, and doing the Imperial Fists pretty much meant that I had to get them commission painted because painting with yellow is not for me. And also I had a theme in my mind that I wanted to just run the models that I like. Okay, I didn't want to build any like super hard, Death Army and try and be competitive or any of that crap. So I just thought, look, what do I really love? I love the Dreadnoughts. Like, I love Dreadnoughts. I always have ever since a kid. So I've just got a mass Dreadnought army, and there's a chapter called the Iron Hands and Clan Rukan, which specifically are designed around sort of Dreadnoughts, basically. So this allows me to paint in a black and silver paint scheme, which I can do pretty much myself, nice and easy. And also run a mass dread. So that's what I've got.
Nice. Tom, what about you? What's on your desk? I mean, you're working on something right now.
That's a true statement. It's true. I have a Nagash that I got my hands on last month in the super deal.
Was that look on your face for Nagash, Michael?
Burn it.
Being mentioned?
Burn it.
And it was partially painted when I got it, but the brush strokes were just horrendous. I mean, there's just no other way. Like, some aspects of it was nice, some of it was just brutal. And so I decided that and then in addition to that, like, there were pieces that just weren't painted. Like, they were painting it by, like, piece by piece and then gluing it together. And so so there are parts that like weren't done, and they're using like a different set of paints than I was using, and so then I had to match everything, and then there were bits missing, like one of his shoulder pads is missing and stuff like that. And so I rounded up the bits that I needed to, and I've decided to take on the task of finishing him. So
there you go.
Yep.
Me myself, been working on some corn guys. I started on these Blood Reaver dudes. These dudes have been, you probably can't see it, that doesn't zoom for crap, but that's okay. They've really been hitting the gym, these guys. Man, they are cut corn, yeah. Like he's keeping it tight.
Yeah.
And then I converted this little guy. He has a really tiny head, and I don't like monsters with tiny heads. That freaks me out. So I decided to go the opposite direction and go big giant head. So I converted him over with a Cygor head. So now he's got big giant head. and so I'll be painting him up probably sometime. So there you go. That's what's on my desk.
It's fantastic.
Absolutely. Big, giant, Cygor-headed Korgorath. He's a Cygorath. See? Just that easy. All right. So let's get to the featured topic today, shall we, gentlemen? Is everybody ready? Today's topic: the good, the bad, and the ugly of AOS, Age of Sigmar. In toto. Early, ill-informed. That's right. Basically, we're going to roll off the cuff here. Now, Doom, you probably have more experience than either of us as far as just number of games, but this is literally just we're shooting out here. We're making calls. We're calling things good, bad, and ugly. And you know what? We intend to be wrong. We promise you we're wrong, and that we're going to get stuff incorrect, and that's okay, because this is partially an experiment for me. We're going to come back to this. Everybody remember this day, 7/13. We're going to come back to this. Mark this day in history, or 7/15. Sorry, I don't even know what date it is. We're going to come back to this in about, let's say 4 months, 6 months. We're going to do this again, and we're going to look at how our opinions have changed since then. So, mark the spot on your calendar, people. All right. So, Michael, as usual, you are our guest. We're going to divide this into 3 categories: the models, the rules, the fluff. We will start. We will do these quickly and in order, so not too much time to labor on, but we'll give some time here. We'll start with the good on the models.
Okay, the Chaos models look fantastic. The Sigmarines, I wanted a Holy Warriors of Order sort of faction for so long, but I wish they had sharper edges. I think they look like good models. I don't mind that they look like Space Marines because hey, Warhammer and Warhammer 40k were always going to sort of do that crossover at some point. But they're too rounded for me personally. I don't really like them that much. Like the idea behind them, but probably don't like the actual models that much. But I think they look fantastic for other people that want to get them. If that makes sense, they're just not my taste. So the good, I think the models are fantastic. They're high level, and the models in the starter kit are affordable. The bad about the models?
Yeah, sure. We'll do all 3 of yours all together. So what's your bad, and then what's your ugly about the models?
Well, the bad about the models is bloody the Sigmarines aren't what I want them to be. You know what I mean? I was like, yes, Holy Empire, and then I was like, oh, I got what I wanted, and they're garbage. So
be careful what you wish for, right there. I guess.
Yeah,
right?
That sucks. And the ugly is the bloody Bloodstoker, bloody Poo Poker. He's like leaning back with his arm, and he's like fencing, but he's just he's lazy and he's overweight, and it doesn't look like, I mean, overweight, so don't take that the wrong way, but there's no way that he could motivate someone to move faster for sure. So I don't like that model. So I think he is ugly.
All right, very nice. Tom, what's your good, bad, and ugly on the models?
Good is the detail of those models. It is just bonkers. I stopped into the shop today and handled some of them, and they just look great. Oh my gosh, like it's good. My bad, very similar. I've been really disappointed with the Sigmarines. For me, it's actually the Uncanny Valley that's the problem. Okay, if you're familiar with this concept in like robotics and stuff like that, it's like things that are too close to real but not real, thus creates this like weird like revulsion effect. And for me, like for this army, for this good holy army, like I expect vibrancy. And when you look at the miniatures, you get this dead, hollow feeling.
Sure.
And so, and that just, for a holy army, I want to see vibrant angels, people who are full of life and passion, and I don't see that. I see cold, hollow, dead.
Like good Terminators is what you're looking at here.
Yeah, exactly. And
I don't mean like the 40K. I mean like the robot from the future that's John Connor's going to fight.
Yep. And I just, I want to see some angels with life in them. I want to see, So that for me, that's that was the kick in the teeth, because I wanted something that they're not, and so I don't know. I may end up doing something with him down the road, but I'm not jumping in, 2 feet in yet. I'm
All
not
right.
even jumping. Yeah. Anyways, so and then the ugly is, man, like I said it, I mentioned already, but like the Sigmarines with bows can't even look down the arrow. Like, come on, GW, you're not even trying. Like, really?
Yes.
No.
Sure.
And it's just ugly. It's terrible sculpting. You need to change the shoulders. You need to do something to make them look appropriate for what they are.
All right. Fair enough. All right, mine. So the good. Every model in the Khorne army, with the exception of the Korgorath and that Bloodstoker, that guy you're talking about, boy, he is god awful. But the blood, whatever they are, the actual knight dudes, like the actual warriors, the cast looking guys, and these marauder guys. Oh my God, the detail, the quality of the kit, the definition,
The Gore
absolutely
Lord,
fantastic. Yeah.
the Chaos Lord is mind blowing. Like I love him so much.
He's so good, and that dog next to him, like, I mean, he's just off the chain. But well, the dog's on a chain, but yeah, it's really good. The also, I happen to really like the angel guys, the dudes who are flying on there. I don't mind the little. Everybody makes fun of the little toilet paper hanging off of them to stand them up. I don't mind that. I think that's cute. That's a nice little trick. I think they're great. And obviously the Lord Celestant on his Dracoth or whatever, that guy is just beautiful. I love his big Roman poofy helmy thing. That's fantastic. So that is my good. My bad, I already covered them. I think it's honestly pretty in line with what you said, Michael. The Bloodstoker. Yeah, it's whatever. My other bad would be the crossbow guys. I honestly don't mind the look of the bow guys because, like, whatever, they can't look at the arrow. I don't mind the big bow guys. The crossbow guys just look silly. I mean, they look like they're holding ballista. So those dudes. My ugly is the fact that it's an ugly situation that I was stuck. I wanted to do these Sigmarines, but I couldn't figure out what to do with them because I just couldn't find a paint scheme I liked. I couldn't, there's like, I looked at a lot. And
you didn't get a hammer and sickle, red and yellow?
No, we're not doing the big communist force marching forward. But I think then my one that I had done on a White Dwarf, it suddenly occurred to me what I need to do, and that is I need to change these out of being Grail, or sorry, I just gave away what I was going to say. Change these from being Sigmarines to being Grail Marines. So I'm going to convert all these dudes over to Bretonnians. I'm going to Dremel the hammer and lightning bolts off of all of their shields and paint on fleur-de-lis and stuff like that, and we're going to have some Holy Grail Knights charging out from heaven to beat the hell out of chaos. That's what I'm going for. So that is going to be my massive conversion project.
You clearly didn't get the memo that all the Bretonnians are dead now.
Says you.
No, says the White Dwarf that actually shows the Bretonnian carrying the standard with the fleur-de-lis in battle. That's an undead knight.
I would just like to point out one rumor we didn't cover because it's not substantiated enough, but I'll just mention it very quickly here, is that a rumor surfaced that there is like some kind of Bretonnian content still coming under Age of Sigmar. Now this has like no support, but I love it. I love the tenacity.
Yeah. And it's led by Nigmos, mate.
Even now, the belief in the Bretonnian players that there is more content coming. It is never ending. Hope springs eternal. That's what I say. Hey, if Edwin ever came, GW, you've got right here. You can just send it right to my house. I'll send you the check now. That's fine. We can make that happen. All right. So let's do the good, the bad, and the ugly of the rules. Michael, start us off.
The good. For the most part, I like the rules. I've played a lot of it wrong. Every single report I've done, I've made a mistake and played something wrong. And each time I've played something wrong, it's been that incorrect interpretation of that rule that's led to the idea that, oh, this is broken, this is busted, and this is no balance and whatever else. So summoning, for example, I played that wrong. You can't summon just everything off the table. When it does come on, it can't move. It can charge, but it can't move. It has to be 9 inches away. And you're really quite restricted in what you summon. So I think overall, as a whole, the rules I quite like. You know, just as in my last battle report, sorry, in one of my previous battle reports, these dwarves just ran down the hill. They did a run move, and they just ran down, and in the middle of running, they just changed formation completely and went from a solid block into this massive bloody 2-wide shield wall. And it was just sort of real dynamic movement that you couldn't have never done before. And my brain wasn't even thinking that that was a possibility for him to do, because I'm still sort of thinking eighth a bit. He's going to move his block and he's going to get stuck on this tree and he's going to be there for 3 turns and whatever else. But no, overall, I'm actually really quite liking the rules. So that's the good, I suppose. It makes it quicker. Yeah, the bad. Okay, the bad. I've got a couple of bads. Firstly, the bases and the idea that base size doesn't matter and measuring from the model. This just does my head in every single time. I feel like the game's meant to be played on round bases. I feel like every miniature should have a standard base size for it. So troops should be on this size, monsters on this size, and then like if you look at the size of the Corn Lord base in the starter kit, it's enormous, absolutely enormous. And you know, you say bases don't matter, so that means that technically to get everyone in closer, we have to stack on top of each other's bases, right? But that's just fucking, excuse me, that's just wrong. You know, it looks wrong, it feels wrong, it makes the combat super messy, stuff starts falling over, it gets caught everywhere, and it just adds a level of ridiculousness. And also, if my model out of the starter kit is on an inch round base, and all of your little dwarves are on 20 mil square bases, you can get so many more in on me than I can on you. But base sizes don't matter, remember? It's only from the model, supposedly. So it's, I think it's garbage. I think that really needs to change, and I'd prefer it if they just said, I don't care how upset you're going to be, Warhammer 8th edition players, and I'm sorry, look, I'm an 8th edition player still as well, but if you want to play Age of Sigmar, take what you want, put it on round bases. These are the size for infantry. These are the size for this. And then, yeah, you can still measure from the model, but just everyone has a base size and they say no overlapping bases, for example. So that's the worst thing probably about it for me so far is that just that base rule. That's the thing that just irks me and shits me to tears. The ugly about the rules is people need to be policed to a certain extent. It'd be a fantastic society if you could just have a store with no shop assistant and people would walk in, take what they want to pay for it and leave. But unless you have someone in there to man them, some people are going to pay, but other people are just going to walk out with the models. Same when you play Warhammer. You go in, he might be a good person, but if no one's there to police him and say, you can't bring on reinforcements of a unit of 60 Chaos Knights, you know, for whatever reason he owns 60 Chaos Knights, then some people will do it still. And that doesn't mean that, oh, I should never play that person again, because, you know, my playing community is quite limited. It might be 15 people. And then the time frame that I have to play is only 1 or 2 days a week, maybe. So of those 15 people that it fits in with, it might be 2 or 3, and one of those guys might not be able to police himself. So that's the ugly side of it in a way, is that it's all well and good to play against your mate and have great, fantastic, balanced games that are quite fair and really quite dynamic. But other times you're bringing out the ugly in people, where they say, you know what, I don't care. I want to play Nagash. I want to play this. I want to play that. I want to bring on that excessive size unit, because for me personally, or for that person, they think it's fun to do that. And who am I to say, hang on, stop, you can't have fun? You know, then I'm the negative opponent, aren't I? I'm like, stop, that's bullshit, you can't do that, I'm not playing you. Well, then I'm the negative Nancy. You know, if you do have that policeman there to say, well, hang on, here's the guidelines that you should play within, so that no one has to be a negative Nancy and we can all still play with the rules that we like, then I think that's needed. So I suppose that was a long-winded analogy, but what I'm trying to say is that I like the rules as they are, I like it being as open as it is, but you just need some sort of restriction or something just to bring it back a little bit, just to police those people that aren't able to police themselves. So that's the ugly.
I like it. Tom, good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah. I would say the good is that it's super easy to learn. Like, given 3 years, all my 5-year-olds, I should be able to teach them by the time they're 8 how to play Warhammer. Like that's just like the basic. It's like whatever the number is, you roll above that number, and so like just from a basic rules, like it's super easy to pick up. The bad, all of the way as it currently stands for me. Moving, like, let's say I put down a block of 50 troops. If I have to move each one of those miniatures one by one, every time I move that unit, that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
And if like we can just never have the scale of battles that we previously had, moving miniatures one by one. On top of the fact that a number of my miniatures are metal, and I'm probably gonna chip them. Like paint will eventually rub off as I'm moving those one by one. And so that's just like, no bueno. Like, not happening. So, for me, that's the bad. The ugly, I still can't get by the shooting rules. And having ranged units, like, I love the fact that my sisters of Avalon are like, haha, shoot, like, ha, shoot, and then they get a special stand and shoot, and they stand and shoot. They finally get in combat and they're like, stab you in the face and shoot twice. Like that, like it's just over the top. And I just can't get by that yet. The whole ranged combat, melee, fighting, like as far as I can tell, I can still shoot off siege at the same time that all of my crew are fighting in melee. Like, yeah, like so I just or that I could do an icky shuffle and run or like kite the enemy around my siege with my I could kite the enemy around my siege with my crew and keep my crew away but within range of the siege to keep shooting it. And I could just run circles unless you have a big enough unit to actually encircle everything.
Yeah.
Like that seems like a problem, right? Like,
I mean, I don't know how they wouldn't catch you and just charge you.
Yeah, because on the 3-inch pile-in move, you would basically surround the war machine and you'd get within 3 inches of your crew.
Right.
But they would have to attack the closest thing, which is the war machine.
No. They can charge the war machine, which brings them within 3 inches of your crew, and then they can just pile into your crew and kill it.
But you have to pile into the closest unit, and the closest unit is going to be the war machine.
The closest enemy, but
no, the war machines are part of the scroll. They are an enemy unit.
Yeah, I understand.
They're part of the unit.
Not rules discussion. Got it.
Anyways, needless to say, my frustration is that like some of that stuff just doesn't seem to be functioning how it should, and it leads to these weird, ugly conversations about like minutia, and it just doesn't need to be that way. Like it seems like with just a single line of not being able to shoot out of combat, that would have resolved this entire thing.
All right, so I'll do mine quick. Good. I'll build on what you said. It's simple to learn, but there is a lot here to the complexity of it. I've seen it come out in your battle report, Doom. I've seen it in Mitch's. I've seen it in a lot of people's where they're realizing just how much the layers are here. Reef talked about it a lot. Once you get these special units with all these special rules on the board and interacting, the starter kit, when you played through your games, and it showed the difference of just how important that BSB was for Chaos when you could slam that battle standard down and eliminate that battle shock. And those Blood Reavers go from just garbage that die instantly to straight murderers just ganking whatever what they're near and shrugging it off. So like the game can very much change based on your units, your positioning. But my other good to build on that is all the things that you guys have mentioned. The good part is these are super easy fixes. We don't like shooting it. Like the only thing that's tough, that's hard to do, is the random pickup game with a stranger, right? But otherwise, if there's like an accepted club rule that hey, this is the rules we play at our club, right? And then you're good to go. If it's some kind of basic compact pool choices, things like that, max wounds on a unit, easy peasy, no, chicken squeezy. And so so stuff like that is good. You don't want to shoot in combat? Great, then we don't do that. Like, these are such simple little minor things, right? Like, it's, like the way certain summoning works, we don't do that. And tournaments will certainly do that. Because how do I know they'll do that? Because they've done that for years. I have tournaments where you can only 5 dice spells instead of 6 dicing spells, and you can blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I haven't played an out of the book Warhammer 8th tournament in a long, long time that didn't decide to change something. I don't expect to have it happen with Age of Sigmar either, because that's just the way the world is, and that's good. We're all empowered to do that. Yay, yay, sports. That sounds awesome. The only bad thing to me, or bad for me, and again, all this stuff I think is tackleable. I hate measuring model. For me, I'm willing to accept the fact that the smaller bases can get around me more and those kind of things. Like, for the most part, I'm like, whatever. My rule would just be the model has to be on a base it came with. So in other words, I'm willing to accept the 20 millimeter dwarves or whatever, or whatever 20 millimeter elves, whatever. Fine, cool, fair enough. But I don't want to see anybody trying to pull shenanigans on putting a single goblin on a Terrorgeist base so you can't get within a half inch of him, right? Or whatever. That's all just nonsense. And as Mitch pointed out in one of his vids, where he had modeled his knights with these big, huge lances coming out, he modeled them a year ago. He wasn't doing it for Age of Sigmar. He just thought it looked awesome, right? But now all of a sudden it creates this problem. Just base to basic, house rule it, call it a day. Fine. Ugly. For me is just that my only ugly is this, that we all still seem to be confused about the fact that this is our game. GW has said with these rules and the way it's designed, this is your game. We're going to provide you all the best content we can to tell stories. But it's your game. You do with it what you want. You change the rules. You set your compacts. You have your tournaments. You've been doing it for years with 8th when we had a 200-page rulebook. Why would you not think you can't do it with a 4-page? And that's the only thing. I think we're starting to come to realize as a community that we are empowered to do this, and I think it's fantastic. There are so many great minds out there working on this stuff, and I see so many cool rules options and stuff like that. I want to see all that. This community's strength is that we can share information easily. So there you go. Let's make it our own. All right. Quick one now, because we're almost at the end of our time. We won't have any time for questions today. I'm sorry. We have full show. Good, bad, ugly. The fluff. Michael, start us off.
The good of the fluff, there is a world still that we can play in, I guess, because when it was sucked into the warp, that was upsetting for me. The bad, I haven't seen bugger all fluff. Like the stuff in the starter kit is very minimal, written very young. There was a world, he got destroyed, Sigmar was alive, he was a god, he flew around, he fought other stuff, he brought the other gods together, then they broke up, Chaos came in again, took everything over, and now they're taking it back. Great. That was so simple. So that's probably the bad. And then the ugly is, I don't know, they've just blatantly ripped off the existing world again. You know what I mean? Azerheim is like Valhalla. Like, everything is just the same. They just haven't come up with a single original, okay, we're going to call them Uruks now, and we're going to call them Stormcast Eternals and whatever else, but there's nothing freaking original in anything. And I think I said in one of my channel updates, I reckon if you went through the monstrous manuals from Dungeons & Dragons, you can find Ogles or Uruks, or you can find something that is pretty much the same anyway. So that's the only ugly, is I think it's very, very basic. Overall, it's just very, very basic, and they haven't really made much of it. I mean, compared to one End Times book, which contains so much fluff, compared to the release for the whole new world. But I suppose that's probably what we're going to see in this new rule book, or whatever it is, this new fluff book that's coming out this weekend, is that fluff expanded. But I still think it's going to be quite simple.
All right. Tom? Good, bad, ugly. The fluff.
Good. There's some really compelling, interesting things. And the teasing that's going on, like Malarian. Who is that dude? It's probably Malekith with some personality disorder, mutated.
He plays War Machine now.
But
nice.
Yes.
He does then there clearly is a personality disorder. Oh no, I'm just kidding. Of course we love him. That's fine. And Warlords is fine. Don't write me angry comments. It's a super sweet game. Keep going.
But even with that, like, when I read that description about the shadowy mists and whole units disappearing, I thought, Are they bringing back the like the femurs? Like, is that happening?
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah, like out of the shadowy swampy mists, which
Yeah,
is like
that's right. That was Femur's story. Yeah.
yeah. And so I was like, man, is this happening? Oh, it's just with this Malarian guy. So anyways, there's just like a lot of compelling things that they could do. Um, I don't. The ugly for me, I don't know what the bad is. I don't have anything for that. The ugly, I would say, is that just the threat of um, having heavenly humans and wilderness humans and fire humans and metal humans and shadow humans and the list goes on. Like I just like it could be too much.
Okay. Here's mine. Good. Lots of compelling, interesting realms. This is. I had thought of this. I think Matira mentioned it as well. It's funny because I think we both reached a conclusion at the same time. This is the old world was like sort of a, let's call it Greyhawk. That was like if you ever played D&D and you know the Greyhawk world, which was the base setting in like 3rd ed. The old world was Greyhawk. Now we're playing Planescape, right? Like this new fluff is Planescape. There's these mesh planes and we're hopping around and all this stuff. The good is I love Planescape. That seems awesome. Nothing wrong with that. The bad is it's directly off of that, which is the cool thing about Planescape is there's a lot of individual flavor and fluff and character to the individual things in there. Things like factions and sigil in this central city. And that leads me right into my ugly, which is I need an interesting, compelling central location, right? Something that is the hub. And I don't have that in the fluff so far. So it might be coming, I don't know. But like Averheim, or not Averheim, Sigmarheim, or whatever the heck it's called, their big holy city, not it. That's not interesting. A city of good guys, uncompelling. A city of bad guys, uncompelling. Like, I need something that's got a little dirt. That's like Altdorf, right? Altdorf was cool as the Empire capital because it had gross sewers, and Skaven were down there, and you had, Dr. Festus down there brewing up plagues in the sewers, and you had death priests and bright wizards and lunatic crap going on in all the streets. It was an exciting city. I need a realm, a world, a city, a something that is somewhat detached or neutral or different from all of this and has a little bit of everything. It's a little light, a little dark, right? Something that looks more like reality, like the real world where things aren't all just good, bad, or fire, metal. Like, it's cool. I like these planes. I dig planes. I dig Planescape. But give me something that looks like normal to ground the whole thing. I just want that somewhere in the existence.
It could be called Middle Earth. That would be original.
Oh, there you go. That's true. We'll call it slightly below Middle Earth, like lower Middle Earth, something like that. Yeah. All right. So I do want to hit one question before we go. We had a lot of them. We didn't get to them, but that's okay. Thank you all for submitting them. I am sorry. We had so much to cover tonight. Actually, we did touch most of the questions through what we answered. So I feel good about that. Like we touched United Wargamers' question about Slaanesh being removed and replaced with the Horned Rat. Obviously, it's awesome. The Horned Rat rules. And that's from someone who has a mono Slaanesh army and loves her. Okay. So here's my question that we're going to go out on, which is, what is the dumbest copyrightable name that has been inserted? Oryx, Aelfs, Ogres, Gargants, Trogoths, or whatever they're called, the Trolls, Duardin. What is your pick for worst replacement name?
I got it.
Go for it.
Gigant.
Gargant or whatever.
Yeah, the Gargant. All right, now I'm pretty sure it's Gigant.
Oh, now keep going. I'll look.
Gigant, and it's the new giant.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
For me, it's Aelfs. Aelfs is just fucking pathetic. Excuse my language. I always swear on your show, Vince. But it's an elf with an A in front of it, and I just cannot believe that that's the extent of their creativity.
No, it's a elf.
Yeah, it is. It's our elf. You're right. Yep.
It's an elf.
It's an army of our elves. Awesome.
There you go. Those are tough ones to beat, certainly, as those are both good ones. Elf. I am actually going to pick, for the moment, I am going to pick Seraphon, just because I don't get it. Like, you're giving me nothing here. You called your lizardmen a weird angel name, and like,
And the name of Malekith's dragon.
and the name of Malekith's dragon.
Yeah, okay, I don't even care about your schedule right now, Vince, because I just have to say this because I am
Go.
so excited for Seraphon. So if you read, GW rips everything off. This is just my mind frame. So if you're going to call the new lizardman Seraphon, which is the name of a winged dragon, and they're a lizardman-like race that lives at the poles and suddenly appears, all that comes to mind for me is from Dragonlance Draconians.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to make lizardmen into Draconians. They're going to call them Seraphon. That fits flying lizards like, Malekith the dragon, etc. And they're going to be awesome, and I'm going to buy them, and I don't care how much it's going to cost me.
I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, that's fine. I got no problem with the fluff of them, like the story of them teleporting in and just wrecking face on Chaos. And by the way, if you've looked at the Lizardman scrolls, you know that they will wreck Chaos's face right up. They will rearrange some face. It's just a name. I need to understand why. Maybe there's a lore explanation coming in the book, and I'll be like, oh, and I'll recant and say, nope, Seraphon is the most beautiful, wonderful name ever. It is genius descended from the heavens, and we have all been touched by the gods for even hearing its dulcet tones lilt upon our eardrums. But for now, dumb. All right.
Sort of reminds me of like holy demons. Chaos have demons that come in and they're different to the Chaos, and then the Stormcast Eternals have their holy demons, which look like fucking lizards. I don't know.
Absolutely. All right. Well, with that, I think we've reached the end of our time. So, gentlemen, thank you very much. Michael, very much appreciate it. Any parting thoughts?
No, thank you for having me on.
Sir, it is always a pleasure, and I said it before, and it still stands at least for this time. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
Tom, anything we want to leave on?
Yeah, give me an army that I'm interested in. Like, I know that sounds terrible, but like, I want to buy something. I want to buy something new. And right now, I'm just not feeling either of these armies.
Yeah.
That's fair. Well, there's only 2 right now. You got to give them a little longer than a week. I'm just saying, to be slightly fair.
But we don't have any picture of that coming soon. Like give me like glimpses of what's coming, and we just
There
don't.
you go.
Yeah.
Release schedule every week. We're gonna end this like the Roman senator who always said Carthage must fall. That was how he ended every senatorial speech. We'll end all the episodes by saying, GW, give us a release schedule.
Yeah,
and with that, there you go. We'll see you next Wednesday.